So, can blockchain be a catalyst for development in Africa? Here is our interview with John Lombela.
It's going to be a pretty unique show where we're talking to digital entrepreneurs and Black entrepreneurs that are actually doing great things. Let it be in the marketing space, let it be in cryptocurrency. And I brought back John Lombela, a good friend of mine who's been playing in that space for quite a while. John Lombela, John is the cryptocurrency guru. I call him like that.
I'm an entrepreneur myself, all the way from South Africa. It is important to always develop new things, right? So ambitiously build new cases beyond just financial services. Yes, we believe in the financial services. I mean, Bitcoin, as a matter of fact, was created as a payment system, a peer-to-peer cash electronic system. It all started from there, but it doesn't have to stop there.
Welcome to another amazing edition of your Redefine Your Hustle Show. So today I have an amazing guest. Somebody I've had the privilege of meeting just about two and a half years ago. And he is a sensational South African young man whom today is going to tell us exactly a little bit of the story on the bandwagon of cryptocurrencies. And he is an author, he is a speaker as well. Most importantly, he is a 4IR, or the Fourth Industrial Revolution Commissioner to Presidency within South Africa. So I'm going to bring in Mpho Dagada, an amazing young man who is an inspiration to a lot of South Africans out there. And as usual, once again, please tune in, let me know where you are starting. So today, I'm going to do another giveaway. I'm going to give away 2 books, and these are the books actually that Mpho has written. You may have seen that on the shelves. The title of the book is Mr. Bitcoin, and the story exactly of how he became a millionaire and made his money. So today, it's not a brand new story. It's about 2 years ago now. I mean, a lot of people actually may know Mpho Dagada. Today, I want to be able to show in exactly what this man is all about and what he can actually talk about. So, Mpho, welcome to the show, man. It is cold in South Africa.
Quite cold, yeah. I've got my coat on, which is not very usual. But thank you so much for having me, and thank you for being able to interact and communicate on this amazing platform today.
Absolutely. I have a little bit of an issue with your camera for whatever reason. We're going to try. I can see you. I can hear you. The sound is extremely well, but I cannot seem to see your feed. So what I'm going to do is to get you out and get you back in again. So let's try that for a second as I continue talking. And there we go. So I'm going to bring him back online. So I can see you. Although, can you see me perfectly, Mpho?
I can, yeah.
Beautiful. Earlier on, it was extremely amazing. I think when we had that interaction, I can see now the light is kind of that's fine. It's stabilizing, so that's pretty cool. So welcome to the show. This is the Redefine Your Hustle show. So what we do every single Monday at 7 p.m. we talk to a whole bunch of entrepreneurs. So people who are either looking for an inspiration, people who want to learn exactly about what we are doing in a space of technology and fintech and all that kind of stuff. And I know that you have some amazing topic to actually talk about. So first of all, I want you to introduce yourself. Talk about exactly who you are. I know you're an author, you're a speaker, and most importantly, a commissioner to the presidency's office. So, particularly, I want to know exactly how you got to that last stage as well, and being, rubbing shoulders with the president.
Thank you so much for having me, John, on your show, and thank you to all the different viewers that we've got here tuning in from so many different platforms. First, I think it's a privilege and honor to be on this show and to discuss so many amazing and insightful things. My name is Mpho Dagada, and I am an author, I'm a speaker, an entrepreneur, and also now a presidential commissioner. Most of the titles that I always go by, I always shy away from the title, and just try and, first and foremost be human and interact on that level. So I think that's the best title that I can give myself or interact with. And yeah.
Beautiful. So look, I met you in 2018.
Yeah.
Right? And I was caught up by your book, Mr. Bitcoin, and most importantly, how you became, the catchy phrase was how I became a millionaire at the age of 21. So the one thing that I really would like you to explain to the audience and maybe inspire them as well, and just tell me a little bit more about that particular journey. How did you become a millionaire at the age of 21? And of course, right after that, we are going to talk about your journey about the book and how, what led you to actually writing the story about the book. So please tell me a little bit more about this. Let's inspire as many people as we can today, especially in these tough times. Yeah.
Indeed. So my journey starts off from a very young age. Obviously, from a very young age, I've always been, quite ambitious. I've always had different dreams that I wanted to achieve. But I've also been very inquisitive, where I always wondered how things work, how systems work, how money works, how governments work, how the world in itself works. Who's the powers that be, who's not the powers, how do people do certain things, how don't they do certain things. And I think that's the first thing that differentiated me, the fact that I was inquisitive. And I wasn't only inquisitive, but I was inquisitive to the point where I would ask questions. So, for example, as growing up as a kid, I'd look forward to the type of people that would come and see my parents. If I had an uncle who's a lawyer or whatever the case, and whenever I'd see him, I'd ask him, how do lawyers make money? That'd be my first question. Or from a very young age, I'd ask questions like, how much does the teacher get paid? How much does this person get paid? How does this business work? Why is this man richer? Why is that one not richer? Why, every single thing that, I sort of incurred or happened in life, I'd have questions. I'd walk into a plane and I'd ask my parents, why are we going to sit at the back and why are we not sitting in business class? My parents would say, well, business class is for business people that have a lot of money. And I'd say to them, why don't you guys have enough money? And, they'd explain to me. And through that inquisitive, it led to me learning a lot of stuff, and through that process, I obviously then learned about the cash flow quadrant. And what I learned about the cash flow quadrant is that there's two types of people who are very wealthy on this earth. One, the business owner. Two, the investor.
True.
So I became obsessed with the concept of becoming a business owner or becoming an investor. Now, obviously, I couldn't become an investor because I was still a student in university and I didn't have enough money to become this amazing investor, So I said, well, what I've got stuck with me is becoming a business owner. And I looked around and I said, what can I do to start making money immediately? That's when I opened up a cleaning business, because in a lot of the businesses that I looked at, they were so difficult, so far-fetched, so far away. And a business that was close or something that I could do was a cleaning business, because at that time I had a broom, I had a mop, I had a bucket. So I had basic things that I needed for a cleaning business. I thought, let me go up to university, print out a few pamphlets, and start advertising my cleaning business. I started advertising my cleaning business to the students that would live in the same apartment block that I lived in. Literally slipped under the pamphlets underneath people's doors. And as I was doing so, students would pick the pamphlets up and sort of read. And at that time, I was offering cleaning for about 70 Rand per room, to clean a room. I then went on to OLX and Gumtree and looked for cleaners. Put up an ad saying I'm looking for cleaners. And a lady called Sylvia contacted me, who used to live in Orange Farm. Orange Farm is about couple of kilometers away from Johannesburg. And she said, Mpho, I'm looking for a cleaning job. I said, brilliant. I'm starting a cleaning business. I said, she's hired. And she's like, great. No formal contracts, no knowledge about business. I'm fresh from high school into university. I then say to Sylvia, let's wait for our first client. One student WhatsApps me and says, hi, I saw your cleaning business. I'd love for you to come clean my room. And we get through to that room and we start cleaning. And obviously, as time goes by, I learn a lot about different methods of doing business, different business models, how specific things work. And through time, I got to a point where I'd learned that I'm not going to become rich through my cleaning business. It finally dawned on me to say, I'm not actually going to make a lot of money through this. Because obviously, as one would know, with cleaning, you're using your time to make money. And I can't split my time. And I was one of those students in university who would run into a lecture 10 minutes late, sit down, ask the person next to me to give me notes, ask questions at the end. When is the test? When is the assignment? What counts to the assignment? What doesn't count to the assignment? What chapters are going to be in the exam? What chapters are not? So I can focus. So I was living a very busy life, and I thought, surely I'm not going to meet the goals that I want to meet by doing this, So I started to ask myself, what are some of the other business models I can participate in? And trust me when I say I tried all of them, I literally tried all of them. I tried Herbalife. Seriously. Every business model on the planet, I tried it. Obviously, business model that you'd be able to do as a student, And over time, I think in each of those business models, I actually took in key lessons in each business model. I mean, in Herbalife, in Amway, in pyramid schemes, I learned so many different things in each and every business model. But the question then remained in my mind to say, Mpho, you're trying all these things. How are you going to become wealthy? How are you going to become rich? And I had known that the formula of becoming rich lies in two secrets. One, business owner. Two, investor. So I had to excel at one of those two things. I knew that if I had to get a job, I'd earn, at that time I'd done research to know how much would I earn if I had to graduate and get a job, And entry-level jobs, people were earning 10, 15, between 10 and 15,000. And I thought to myself, if I'm earning 10 and 15,000, I won't be able to live the life that I'd want to live. I won't be able to reach the dreams that I want to dream, So I knew that I had to do something. I had so much passion into what I had to find a solution to say, what am I going to do that's going to enable me to live up my dreams, not get a job and be employed, but at the same time, generate a lot of money. So after trying the cleaning business, after trying the different pyramid schemes that were there, after trying Herbalife, after trying Amway, after trying all sorts of systems, I sort of got to this place in my life where I said, I'm doing something wrong. At that time, John, I'm a student in university at the University of Johannesburg. I'd done it all. I sold boerewors rolls. For those who don't know what boerewors rolls, it's like wors and a roll there, in case you've got any international people. I sold boerewors rolls. I sold Herbalife products. I sold Amway products. I went into pyramid schemes. I had done everything I knew to how to become a business owner.
That's legendary, man.
Each of these endeavors, I never quite made enough money. I mean, look, I was making a lot of money through the cleaning business, but it wasn't enough money. It wasn't enough money to allow me to travel. It wasn't enough money for me. I wanted to generate enough money through business. And after doing that, I then said to myself, maybe there's something I'm doing wrong. So I started to study, how wealth is built in today's day and age, And I started to discover things, amazing things of the internet. Like, for example, I started to discover that people who invested in Facebook when it originated today are billionaires. People who invested in Microsoft when it originated today are billionaires. People who invested in Google are billionaires. And I started to say there's a trend as to how people are becoming billionaires. People are becoming billionaires through investing in technology. Or through investing where the world is going. People are becoming very wealthy through doing that type of investment. So I started to ask myself, how do I then become one of those people? And one thing I realized is that those people that were becoming very wealthy were people who were investing where the world is going. Those are the people that were becoming the billionaires of this day and age. Those are the people that are investing exactly where the world is moving towards. A gentleman who would have de-invested or rather taken out money from a newspaper company and invested into Facebook became a billionaire because he invested in the right thing that's growing over time. So I wanted to find what is it that I can invest in that's growing over time where I can make money. That became my desire because I had done the businesses where I was using my time to make money. And I realized that for me was very exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, I always often tell people that in university, I never visited a single university party. I never visited a single freshers party or any sort of party. My focus was, how do I make money?
Yeah.
That was majority of my university life. So I got to this point where I started to research, how do people become wealthy? And it led me to the study of people that invested early into companies that were going where the world is moving towards, digital technologies, digital companies, and those people became the richest of the day and age. And in that pursuit, I started to research, what is it that I can start investing in where the world is moving towards? And through my pursuit, I met a lady who said to me, Mpho, I would like for you to buy me Bitcoin. Now, this lady that I met, she had obviously led me to a previous pyramid scheme that I joined. And I was very upset with her because at that point in time, I'd lost a lot of money through this pyramid. I'd lost lots of money.
Right.
So she said to me, Mpho, I would like for you to buy me Bitcoin. And I said to this woman, why am I buying you Bitcoin? And she said, well, you know, I need to send money overseas, so I'd like for you to buy me Bitcoin. And I said to her, I'm not quite interested in buying you Bitcoin because you previously led me to a pyramid scheme. And she said to me, trust me, I just want you to buy me Bitcoin. I'll send you the money. That's all you have to do. I said to her, send me the money. She sent me 1,000 Rand. When I received the 1,000 Rand, I automatically went onto the internet and said how to buy Bitcoin. And something very funny came up, Chinese blog. So Chinese blog came up with lots of information on Bitcoin. And I was wondering, what is going on here? So I called this lady and I say to her, listen, this is a pyramid scheme or this is a scam. I'm not going to go through with it. Here's your money back. And she's like, no. Please go through with it. I need you to buy me Bitcoin.
Right.
I then log on to that platform. I translate these Chinese blogs into English because I'm trying to figure out what is Bitcoin. And after doing that, I spend so much time reading about it. And at the end of the day, my head is buzzing because I'm reading about this new thing, digital technology, blockchain technology. It's going to take over. Everybody's investing in it. And I'm not quite understanding what's going on at that point in time. But one thing that's keeping me fueled is the fact that this lady had given me her money to buy her Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I come back the next day. I talk to the person on the Chinese blog. I ask questions. Hi, I'm in South Africa. I'd love to buy Bitcoin. This guy sends me, he's a Chinese man. He sends me a South African account to say, deposit money into this South African account. And after depositing money, I'll send you through the Bitcoin. And now I'm wondering, okay, is he going to courier them? You know, I've got lots of questions. You know? But at that time, I don't really ask him any question. I say to him, okay, cool. I sent you the 1,000 Rand. And he sends me a message. And in his reply, he says to me, Mpho, I've sent you the Bitcoin. They're in your wallet. Thank you so much for doing business with me. And at that time, I'm sitting there in the University of Johannesburg, and I'm thinking, once again, I've been scammed.
Right.
But just before concluding I've been scammed, I take out my physical wallet from my bag, literally. I open up my wallet, and I look at my wallet, and I'm like, this guy said he sent the Bitcoin to my wallet. Like, what type of evil scammer is this for him to even say he sent it to my wallet? I close my wallet. And I start swearing at him. I'm now upset at him. I'm telling him, listen, I'm going to get you arrested. You're a scammer. I can't believe you did this to me. And as I'm speaking to him in this process, he says to me, no, your wallet is the number at the top of the platform, because I'm speaking to him on exchange.
Right.
He says your wallet and this exchange, if some of you might know it, it's called local Bitcoins. And local Bitcoins.
I remember that.
Yeah, you communicate with the person who you're buying Bitcoins from. And this guy says to me, check your wallet and you'll find the Bitcoins. And I'm asking him, I've already looked at my wallet. You're a scammer. It's not there. I'm reporting you. And he says, your wallet is your number at the top. I go to the top. I look at this number. It's letters. It's numbers. It's letters. It's numbers. I'm wondering what's going on. I'm like, how is this my wallet? When did you get my ID number? I never opened a bank account. What are you talking about? What's going on here? You know? And he explains to me that this is a digital wallet and this is how it works, etc., etc. And over time, what happened, like literally the next day, is the Bitcoins that I'd bought for this lady then moved from 1,000 Rand to 10,000 Rand overnight. I called this lady back and I'm like, listen, lady, whatever you said I should do, it's worked. The Bitcoins I bought for 1,000 are now 10,000. You're a genius. I'm sorry for ever doubting you. How do we make more money? You know? And the person said to me, I didn't know that this would happen. Send me 5,000 Rand from the profits. Keep 5,000 Rand for your efforts. And let's call it a day. And obviously I sent it the 5,000, but after sitting at the 5,000, I kept the 5,000 for myself.
Yeah.
And that led me to the question to ask myself, how does this Bitcoin thing actually work? Because at that time, I had tried all businesses. I mean, I tried Herbalife, tried Amway, I tried selling Boerewors rolls outside of Stones in Melville in a club at like 4 a.m. I'm out just selling, it's cold. I've tried everything. I've tried selling avocados from Venda. I've tried cleaning rooms. I've tried doing everything to make money as a young entrepreneur. And I had never, ever received 5,000 Rand without putting in much effort overnight. So that became an obsession to say, what is this thing where I received so much money with doing the minimum effort? And from that point onwards, I'd go to university, sit at the back of the lecture hall, open up my laptop, and Bitcoin would be what I'd be reading. Understanding it, how does it work? How does it not work? What are the dangers? What are the risks? And I just keep on engulfing myself and diving into more and more research and just finding out more and more. And obviously, I'm going to cut the very long story short to say, from there on, became a fixation, started buying and selling Bitcoin in South Africa. I believe I was the first person to sell Bitcoin in South Africa, but somebody says I wasn't the first. So I'm not quite sure who was the first. Might have been me, might have not been me. But yeah, that's where the journey started.
And when was that? Was it in 2013, 14? Was it early on? Because for you to have been able to identify that then, and start buying a lot of Bitcoins and to suddenly turn that into millions, you definitely must have been between the years of 2011 and 14. When was that?
So for me, when I started, it was in 2012.
Okay.
That's around when I started. It was more, so 2012 was more, I'd rather say 2013, but it was around 2012, 2013. That I started reselling Bitcoin in South Africa.
So did you find yourself trading, or were you, I mean, the fact that you saw the magic from 1,000 to 10,000 overnight, did you start converting a lot of your fiat currency into buying Bitcoin, or were you buying and trading, or what was it?
Look, I started moving everything. I started moving. I called everybody. I called my dad. When I called my dad, I said to my dad, listen, however much money you have, please give it to me so we can buy Bitcoin. And my dad was like, no, this thing of yours sounds like a Satanist scam. I'm not doing it. I'm not involved. But I basically started calling everybody I know. I started everything. Like, I even got to a point where I pawned stuff that I had so I can buy it. Like, I went in hard. Like, I took all money wherever I could take money. I was a mad guy on a mission, making sure that I move all my money through to Bitcoin. So that's what I did when I first discovered it.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I think just a quick reminder, we are having this conversation with Mpho Dagada, the Mr. Bitcoin. And I see here Rue Rutendo. Hello. She's saying, you know what, Mpho, I need your book. Now, here's the thing, just a quick reminder. I'm giving away 2 books. And at the end of the show, so depending on how many people would have participated, we are going to randomly select actually the winners. My team is behind the scenes and watching exactly who is doing what. But for you to participate and be willing to, standing a chance to win this particular book, this is what I need you to do. First of all, tell me where you're from, where you are connecting from. Okay, that's one. And share this particular live with as many people as you can on your social media, on Twitter if you are on Twitter, or on your WhatsApp or Facebook. Make sure that you share that. Okay, that's 2. And secondly, engage with Mpho. He's here to answer your questions. Some of you may have questions around Bitcoin and being inspired exactly about his journey. But tell us exactly where you're dialing from, and you might just stand a chance to win the book. Okay, so in the end as well, when you win the book, make sure that you tell us where you are, your address, so we can actually ship it to you guys. Okay, and last week we did a giveaway for 2 people, and one already has received her book, and the other one will be receiving that tomorrow, and I'm pretty excited about that. So Mpho, your journey to being a millionaire is a journey that really caught South Africa by storm. And I know that you did so many shows in all 4 corners of South Africa. You went to Durban, to Cape Town, to Johannesburg and Pretoria. You even went all the way to Nelspruit, Limpopo, and all that kind of stuff. So you kept sharing the news about how you became a millionaire at the age of 21. And of course, turning Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies into something like that. So what can you tell the South African people? What is the advice you can give them today with regard to your journey? Because ultimately, the opportunities that you had back then are no longer the same opportunities we see today. So many people woke up to the idea of becoming millionaire, especially in 2017, and you and I know that. So many people lost money as well by buying Bitcoin and especially getting into all these scams. But what can you tell the audience today? And I see there's another Mpho as well who says she deserves a book. Mpho, you know exactly what to do. Make sure that you share this live and make sure you comment and ask a question, because we want as many people to participate so that we can actually stand a chance to win a book. So there's 2 books and only 2 winners will be selected at the end of the show. Okay. So, Paul, what can you tell the audience about that particular journey? What is the opportunity right now in the market?
I think the first and very important thing that I would like to tell South Africans, and every South African needs to be aware and know about this, is that I believe that the biggest secret to my success in cryptocurrency or in any sort of business is knowledge. And I think a lot of the times, a lot of people fail, or a lot of people don't become successful in certain things because they actually lack the knowledge. They actually lack the know-how. I always tell people that it's so easy to act when you're acting on knowledge.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot of people that get scammed, a lot of people that fall into these sort of traps where somebody will post something and say, send me money, or whatever the case is, I'll trade for you, are people that actually don't have the knowledge. And I always say to people that if I ever get into anything, best believe I have spent time researching and understanding it. I've always said this to people. I said, I never understand people who, when they hear about something, when something comes their way, they don't take enough time to actually research it. They don't take enough time to actually study it, learn about it. I always say to people that it's so funny that I've met people that started doing Bitcoin much later on. Like, for example, I met a lady who started doing Bitcoin last year. She started last year in January. And till date, this lady has made 10 million Rand from Bitcoin. And I always say to people that it's very important for you to understand that the reason why she made so much money is because of the information that she has. It's the knowledge that she has. She spent so many years studying exactly how people do it, how it's actually done, and then she's just implementing on the knowledge. So that's the first thing. The fact that if you want to get involved, make sure you get the right knowledge. And I always say that getting a mentor is a shortcut. So if you can access a mentor, get a mentor. Obviously, when I started with Bitcoin, there was no mentor. When I made my first million Rand, I actually went to my accounting lecturer in the University of Johannesburg to ask him, how do I deal with tax Bitcoin? And he said to me, it doesn't exist, it's not going to happen. He treated it like it was a dream. So in my day and age, when I was involved in Bitcoin, there was no mentor, there was none of that. I had to pave my own way, right? But in today's day and age, there are mentors, there are people that can guide you. I always say to someone that if you send me through a DM and you ask me a question, I'll always be able to answer. I might not answer immediately, but I'll always be able to answer you and help you and guide you in whatever way that you need guidance. So that's the first thing. Get the knowledge. Number 2, try and get a mentor. Try and get somebody who you can sort of copy or learn from. Very, very important. Number 3, always look at how, I've always said that for one to actually become successful, very, very important. For one to become successful in any sort of endeavor, you need to understand the power that comes with you informing other people. And one man described it like this. He said, very successful people are people who have been able to use their influence to get what they want. I always tell the story of that I learned about the diamond industry. When you look at the diamond industry, there was a time where everybody was digging all over the world for diamonds. Everyone was digging. Everybody was busy digging. So diamonds were not worth much. Diamonds were something that you just take your pick, drive down to Kimberley, start digging, you find yourself a diamond, you're good. And there was a man by the name of Cecil Rhodes who decided to go and visit the Rothschilds family and said to the Rothschilds family, if you give me £1 million and I go back to South Africa and I buy all the diamond land that's there and we control these diamonds and control the narrative around diamonds, the diamond industry will change, And we all know today that every single person who wants to get married, what do? they go and buy their wife a diamond, right? It's not written in the Bible. It's not written in the Quran. It's not written in any words of wisdom of the world. The person who made you buy the diamond ring for your wife, ladies and gentlemen, is a man who decided to influence you and influence generations to come believe what he believed. And it's the same thing with Bitcoin. It was one man, Satoshi Nakamoto, who created Bitcoin. And what did he do? He released a white paper that when we all read, we were all influenced. I was influenced and I believed in it. And once I got influenced, I decided to say, I'm going to influence the rest of the world to believe what I believe.
Right.
Today, Investec will call me and say, come and speak to our bankers. FNB will call me and say, come and speak to our team. Why? They're buying into what I was able to influence them to believe. And that's very, very important. The three things, if you want to get involved, and this applies in any business. Number one, get as much knowledge as you possibly can on the business model.
Yeah.
Number two, get a mentor. If you can't get a mentor, it's okay. I didn't have a mentor. Number three, influence everyone around you to aspire to your inspiration.
Absolutely.
And if you do that, you become successful in any business endeavor that you want to get involved with. It's that simple.
Beautiful. So the next thing I want to do, you started talking about something, and I wanted to talk about your book and the journey, but I want to carry on the same path. Let's talk a little bit more about Bitcoin and the future of money. So obviously, just like you and I, we've been influenced by that particular white paper. And when you read that information, just the 10 or 9 pages on that white paper changes your whole perspective of what you understand about money. And most importantly, the future of money. So let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin and the future of money. But I want you, from your expertise, to explain exactly to the audience, and that because you're obviously my guest, and I want you to tell them exactly what are your perspectives about this particular ecosystem and Bitcoin and the future of money alone.
All right, cool. So I'm going to just deal with something that I've always wanted to speak about. And I obviously, this is the first time that anybody gets to hear it. So this will be quite exclusive.
Good.
I want to speak about how the world actually works. And this is one thing that many people have not quite understood. So for example, I always tell people that when the first paper money was ever printed, newspapers came out and said, paper money is a scam. Don't trust paper money. Paper money will never work for you. Paper money can get burnt. Paper money can get washed in your clothes. These were the headlines. But there were families that originated from the Rothschilds that came out and said, guys, paper money is actually more effective than gold. Paper money is actually more worth than silver. Paper money is actually much more effective. It's much more faster to transfer between users. It's much more viable. Let's use paper money. And as they did that, there were people who said, no, we'll never buy into paper money. We'll never believe in paper money. But as they kept changing the narrative, saying, guys, paper money is the future, what happened over time? We live today in a world where anybody and everybody's looking for paper money. True. It's the same journey as Bitcoin and the future of money. The future of money lies in those that are advocating or performing for it. The reason why, for example, we all believe in paper money today was because someone back in the day changed the narrative to say, here's something better that we've got that's better than gold, silver, whatever, as a unit of transfer. Now, in today's day and age, people have sat down and thought, what can we find that's better than what we currently have? What can we create that's better than what we originally have? And what we found is that cryptocurrencies prove to work much better than money itself. I've always told this to people, and I'll keep on telling the story to people, that the world that we live in today is very, very corrupt. And the seed of corruption lies in the fact that there is no record to tell us where money came from and what money's doing. I'll give you an example. If one person decides to start up a factory in Vietnam to print the South African rand, the South African police service will never be able to arrest that person because the South African police service is not in what? In Vietnam.
Correct.
But only if that money that they were printing was on a blockchain system, everybody would be able to trace that money and understand how it moves. In the world we live in today, we have too many problems that money gives us. If I just had to ask everybody who's watching us on Facebook or any platform that you're watching us on, how many of us have seen fake money? So many of us have seen fake 200 rands. How do we stop the problem of fake money? And when we look into the future, we all want a future that's more transparent, that's more honest. You know, I was telling a friend of mine, I said that whenever I read about the future, and I love reading about the future because we should all be informed about the future. One thing is clear. A lot of people have predicted that in the future, human beings will love money.
Yeah.
That's the one thing everybody's predicting. In the future, and I believe that we're living in the future, every human being will love money. Men shall be lovers of money.
Right.
You know, in the Bible, it says so. It says in the last days, men shall love money. So we all know that men shall be lovers of money. And in this love of money, there are men that have become very corrupt. There are men that have become very immoral. There are men that are using money in many different ways. Now, if we are all looking for a fair system, which we all are, then it only makes sense that we all back and are behind Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. You know, and not only Bitcoin, because whenever I speak about cryptocurrencies, people hear Bitcoin because my name is Mr. Bitcoin and they believe there's so many more cryptocurrencies that are available. You know, a recent one was launched called Bitcoin Vault, which is doing very, very well. So in the world that we're moving towards, where everything is becoming, you know, I always used to tell, I made this joke, and I was joking with my aunt. You know, my aunt always used to say to me, "I'll never shop online." And I used to say to her, "Why?" And she was like, "No, I don't believe in this online thing. I want to see what I'm buying," you know. And the other day she told me, she was like, "I bought my first nappies online." And I said, "Why did you buy nappies online?" And she's like, "Because I don't want to go to the shops because of coronavirus." And I said, "How was your experience online?" And she said, "I actually liked it." And I said, "Wow, that's quite brilliant." Now I said to her, "Imagine if you could buy something in China online and it could happen as instantly as you bought it in South Africa." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "If you could send somebody in China cryptocurrency immediately and they transport your goods without you waiting 7 days for your money to clear, wouldn't that make you much better as a consumer?" She said, "Definitely." And I said, "Well, that's where the future's going to. The future's moving to us using cryptocurrencies on a daily basis to do whatever we do, to buy whatever we buy. But not only that, the future is also moving to a place where human beings are able to collaborate with one another, irregardless of political interference with their money. So, for example, if you were a teacher in Zimbabwe and you are now going for pension, you got to a point where your pension was worth nothing, absolutely nothing. Now, if you ask me, is that fair that because of the government or the political regime, your money is worth nothing? You're a teacher. Is that fair? Not at all, right? But in a world where we're moving towards the cryptocurrency world, if you're a teacher in Zimbabwe, you're able to teach children in China through Zoom, through the platform we're using today, through Facebook, and get paid in a currency that will be fair to you. Now, if you have to ask a teacher in Zimbabwe, do you want to be paid in Zimbabwean dollars or do you want to be paid in Japanese yen or whatever? They'll say to you, it's too complicated. But if you say to them, I pay you through cryptocurrency, you can then choose what and when you want to do with your money. And that's where we're moving towards. You know, I always say that the freedom of today is no longer the freedom of saying we're slaves. The freedom that we gain today is the freedom of one to be able to use their skills, to use their knowledge, to use their time to earn money in a fair and just system. That's the freedom we're looking for today. You know, back in the day, fight for freedom, and they talk about the fact that they want to have freedom to move, freedom for this. And I say to people that often when we look at the definition of freedom, we actually looking for a way to say we want all things to be fair. And it's just not fair that because you were born in a country where your president is corrupt, the amount of effort you put into building wealth should be based or made useless. It's just not fair. It's not fair that a specific currency where you were born is stronger than your country's currency, and you can never become better than that because of what happened to you. It's just not fair. And in a world that we're moving towards, where cryptocurrencies are being used, we're moving to a fair world where everybody earns in the same currency, where value is now equal, and where we can keep a record of transactions as to what is happening for everyone, which is very, very important.
I think that's a very, very important mention right there. And just a reminder for those who are actually joining in and tuning in, I see V is actually saying, "Can I win, please?" Of course, V, you can win. And this is how you can win. First of all, share this particular live with your network on Facebook, on Twitter, depending on where you're actually joining this particular live from. Okay, so make sure that you share, and make sure that you engage. If you have any questions, please prepare your questions and ask Mpho, who is here. I'm his I'm actually the one hosting the show, and he's my guest. And I want him to be able to talk to all of you guys and explain his experience and so forth. All right. So here's the book. 2 people will be selected at the end of the show, and we are going to make sure that we send you the book accordingly. So Mpho and I are currently talking about Bitcoin and the future of money. So Mpho, here's the one thing, right? So I often say to people, the best way for you to be able to understand Bitcoin is if you are able to understand the history of money. The moment you understand the history of money, you will be in a better position to understand exactly, first of all, what is Bitcoin solving and why it was created in the first place. Can you enlighten the audience right now a little bit about your understanding of these two elements?
Look, I think it's very, very important for everybody to understand, the purpose of money when money was actually created. And I think everybody needs to be aware of it, and everybody needs to actually come to the realization that money in itself was created to reward one for doing something. So, for example, back in the day, a farmer who's farming cattle wants to buy maize from a farmer who's farming maize. So the purpose of money was to exchange the barter system, to say you've spent time and effort making this cattle or growing this cattle, herding this cattle, whatever way you want to put it, and you've spent time growing the maize. Let's reward you for what you've done by giving you something of value. That was the purpose of money, And when we look at the fundamentals of money, we find that in different ways and in different sort of settings, money was actually created to honor one for the work that they've done. And when we look at what's going on today, we realize that it's not happening the way that it was designed for it to happen. And that's the reason why we all need to strive and look for a way to return the integrity or the reason why money was actually created. Now, I've always said to different people that whenever we look at money, it's important for us to realize that it's a unit of currency that one is supposed to earn for doing something important. A unit of currency that one is supposed to earn for doing something important. In today's day and age, we find that people are using money to sort of manipulate, force people to do certain things that they're not supposed to do. And not only do that, but people are also using money to sort of control things in a way that they shouldn't be controlled. For example, to control elections, to control wars, to dictate. People are using money for the wrong reason. And what cryptocurrency has done is cryptocurrencies have been able to create ecosystems for specific people in specific areas. And these ecosystems allow something very, very important. These ecosystems allow people to collaborate within the specific cryptocurrencies. For example, when we look at current cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, or EOS, or Neo, so many of them, where entrepreneurs, business owners, people in the ecosystem are allowed to collaborate, work together through this value system and work with one another. It's no longer a system where money is now used in a cartel system, etc., etc. It's now a system where money is used by like-minded people to do and to sort of foster the community or make it go further. I once attended a conference in the United States of America, in Columbia, the University in New York, and the founder of Ethereum was speaking there. And as he was speaking, he said, I've got with me Ethereum developers, people that are developing on the Ethereum blockchain. And he said to them, when the Ethereum price goes up, I reward these people by paying them through Ethereum. And obviously they didn't make a lot of money because the Ethereum price is up. And he said that one very important thing that he's realized about him rewarding these people is that he's never seen more people actually involved in creating an excellent cryptocurrency platform, because they're aware that if the price goes up, they get paid in that price. So now you sort of have a share system within a cryptocurrency system. So I think when we look at the history of money, we want to create a system where people are now being rewarded for doing things correctly. The farmer who used to farm great cattle would get more maize for his cattle and have more value. But in today's day and if his current or his president says something wrong, no matter how much effort he's put into his farming, it gets taken away. He can't be rewarded perfectly for the effort that he did. You might find that this is a perfect citizen who's actually never harmed anyone. But because their president was corrupt, they now lose everything. So cryptocurrencies are bringing back the real value behind money as to what money should be and the reason why money was actually created, which is very, very important.
Beautiful. So let me bring it back a little bit into your book, right? So Mr. Bitcoin, I want to understand exactly why did you, use that particular naming for yourself and known as Mr. Bitcoin, and that's one. But most importantly, I want you to talk about your book and the journey. What led you to writing the book? How long did it take you to write the book? Did you, did you publish the book by yourself, or did you have a publisher? Just tell me. I know you mentioned that to me when I met you first in your office. And by the way, guys, I did buy 10 books. That was in 2018, right? I bought 10 books of Mr. Bitcoin, and I actually invited Mpho to come and attend one of the events I was actually having with prospective investors, and I distributed 10 books to the entire audience that was actually inside. And Mpho was actually there to. I can't remember whether you signed the book for all these guys, but the people who were there definitely enjoy the book, and that's the reason why today I want to give away 2 books for you guys. And make sure that you share this particular live and you invite all of your friends to come and listen to Mpho talking. So tell me about your book and your journey. What led you to writing this book, my friend?
So what was going on is people would sort of see that I had a lot of activity going on. People would say, but he's just a student. How can he afford to buy a new car? He's just a student. How can he afford to buy this? So people would sort of see what's going on. They'd ask me, what business are you in? Are you selling drugs or something? And I'd say to them, no, it's Bitcoin. And they'd say, okay, tell me more about Bitcoin. And as more people started asking me these questions, a few of them would say, wow, this is Mr. Bitcoin, and explain everything to do with Bitcoin. But I think what happened over time is so many people started asking me questions, and I sort of became famous. I'd be going on radio stations. And but what I mean by famous, obviously I'm not talking about rock star famous, I'm talking about famous for being an advocate of cryptocurrency. And so many people started to approach me, and a lot of it got overwhelming because someone would say to me, explain Bitcoin to me, and it would take 45 minutes for me to explain. So I thought to myself, why not put this in a book so that when somebody says, tell me about Bitcoin, I can say, well, here's a book, buy my book, and it explains everything, So I then decided to write a book. And when it came to the title of the book, I thought a lot of people, when they see me, they're like, oh, Mr. Bitcoin, explain Bitcoin to us. So I said, let's title the book Mr. Bitcoin, because already people are calling me that, and that's how people see me. And I think for me, the journey of writing a book was so precious because a lot of the times when we reflect on our journeys, we reflect very quickly. We don't take enough time to sort of sit down and ponder, and that's what a book does. Well, a book that's written honestly, it really allows you to reflect and ponder. The process of writing a book, I had to send it to my parents and say, guys, please read this book and tell me what you think. And my parents had to come back and say, change that, look at that, this is too much information, no, that, and my publisher comes back to me and says, we need more realness from you here. We need more honesty from you here. So the process of writing a book really helps you reflect, which is so important because we live in a very fast life where, you pop something in the microwave, you quickly eat it now. Everything is so quick that we don't have enough time to sit and ponder, to say, am I really where I want to be in life? Am I happy with what I've achieved? Am I going the right direction in life? And that's what the book allowed me to do. It allowed me to ponder, but not only that, it allowed me to solve a lot of the problems that people are asking me. Because a lot of people didn't know about Bitcoin. A lot of people wanted to know about Bitcoin. So I'd always say to them, here's the book, read the book, you'll get the information. And people would say to me saying, wow, I read the book, I was so inspired, or I read the book, I loved the book, or I read the book, it got me to understand Bitcoin in a new way. So many different results came out of people reading the book, which was very important for me because it allowed me to connect with people in a completely different new environment, a new way where it's now in written form, And I think if anything, I worked with the publisher because the purpose of my book wasn't to make money. I'd already made my money through Bitcoin. It was to inform people. So I wanted a publisher to distribute it to as many people as possible so people can know about it. And I think the process of working with the publisher allowed me to understand the book industry, where the money is in the book industry, how the book industry works. And that allowed me to gain more insight into a completely new, different industry, you know. And I think one very important thing that I'll always take back from my book is that a book is a lot of work, but it's nothing compared to the fruits that you reap from the book. Sure. Because I've received so many messages from so many different people who said, I read your book and I was inspired. I read your book and I was inspired to start a new business. I read your book and it kept me going. I read your book and when you get those messages, you're sort of like, wow, I wrote the book, you know, finished the chapter, I was done with it. But from this book that I wrote, so many people are uplifted, inspired, and lives have been changed as a result of the book. So I think, if anything, I'm very happy about the results the book has achieved in different life. And also, just for me, myself, going through the journey has been very beneficial even for me.
Beautiful. So look, I when I met you, I know you were having these events, right? And you filled up the rooms, 200 people, 300, 150. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to, you know, when I came to your show the first time, I wanted, from a South African perspective, I wanted to understand exactly how somebody who is doing the same thing that I'm actually doing right now is doing it, and how is he communicating to the audience in South Africa. So that's why I came to listening to you. And my question to you is, are you still doing that? Do you see yourself ever going back to doing that? And considering that, you know, the pandemic and the COVID-19, we're all going to talk a bit about that as well, has completely changed the landscape. What do you see is the future for you with regard to cryptocurrencies, the various shows you used to have, the audience that you engaged with? And can you tell us a little bit more about the opportunities you have at the moment? I know you mentioned about Bitcoin Vault. I've seen you talk about that with Anna Pinza as well. So tell me a little bit more about where you stand at the moment.
Well, I think for me, firstly, when I started doing the tours, you know, so I would always attend so many different tours of Robert Kiyosaki coming to South Africa, so many Americans coming in, and I'd see the halls were full and people were coming in numbers, and I'd always wonder, wow, why is it only Americans, you know? And that's what birthed the passion for me to say, let me actually start my own tours, you know? And I started to do some research about South Africans that were doing tours, and I said, I'm actually going to start doing my own tours. And myself, together with a team of people that were working for me at the time, we started doing these tours. And I think I learned a lot of stuff from the tours. You know, one thing that I really, really enjoyed about the tours was the fact that the participation of the different types of people that would participate in the tours was phenomenal. Because when I thought about the tours, I thought it would be young people, you know. But the average age in the room was like 40, 50, you know. Sometimes 60-year-olds would be there on the tours. And, you know, the tours were very fun because you'd be driving from one city to the next or flying through. And, you know, it was all fun. It was amazing. But I think if something that I learned from the tours, and I've always known this, I've always known that it would be more effective to do them online, because I'm able to reach more people and impact more people. I am aware, though, that online there's a lot of distractions that people can get, and, you know, people won't be able to view or watch something because they'll be distracted because of many different reasons. But I think that the future of touring will be online due to where the world is going. But beyond the online experience, I think one thing that I learned about South Africans and the South African market is that in South Africa, people still have the spirit of community. And I think it stems from the fact that, you know, South Africa, we're all about Ubuntu. You know, we've got statements like, you know, we are because of the village that raised us. You know, we're so full of compassion for one another, understanding one another, where we come from, etc. And I think that's the reason why the tours of face-to-face South Africa will always be very successful. I do plan on going back on tours. And I think when I do go back on tours, I'll be launching my own cryptocurrency, which I'm working, which I've been spending a lot of time working on and a lot of time investing in. And I think when I finally do launch, it'll be something very exciting and very amazing. And it's something that I'm expecting to shake the whole world. I'm looking very forward to it, you know, and I'm going to do it big, because I think I've spent a lot of time researching, understanding how this business model works, and understanding how to actually get out there to people. And yeah, I'm looking very forward to going back into the game and touring, and, you know, this time doing different cities and doing all that, but doing it knowing that the business model, everything would have stemmed from South Africa and South African people.
Fantastic. Make sure that you tell me a little bit more about your cryptocurrency, because we are definitely working on an amazing stuff as well, and it will be very good for us to blend the two and build some sort of compatibility as well within our platforms. So yeah, for a lot of people, actually, you may have heard it first. And Paul has announced he's working on an amazing cryptocurrency, and I can't wait to know exactly what that will be all about. So, but then besides the Bitcoin, the book, and your speaking engagement, you became a prominent voice in South Africa, one of the youngest, really, to promote and talk about the fourth industrial revolution. And you became a commissioner to the president's office as well, and touring with the president and meeting some amazing people. I've seen you at Gibbs University talking exactly about the 4R and so forth. So tell me a little bit more about that transition, or the blending the two. How did that come about?
So I think one thing that I've always been aware of is that I've always wanted to serve the South African community. And I've always thought, where can I plug myself in where I'm able to serve in the most effective way? And I think for me, the place that I knew that I had to serve was the place in government, to say, I want to serve at the highest level of government where I know that what I'll be doing will be effective. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I serve in the presidency, where we draft strategy for the whole entire South African government, Parliament included, as to how they should approach the fourth industrial revolution. But I think one very important thing that I take pride in, or one thing that I hold up as a banner to remind myself as to why I'm doing this, is because for a very long time, Africans, or South Africa, but more in large, the African countries have always been seen as late bloomers. African companies have always been seen as companies that get to things last. Like, for example, when the internet first started, I think it took about 7 years for it to land in Africa. So sure. Americans had the internet for 7 years, and we only got it on the 8th year. Like, how does that even make sense? So a lot of the stuff we were always late bloomers in. And when I looked at where the world is going, I realized that the world is moving to the fourth industrial revolution. We've got artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, quantum computing. And I said, how do I position Africa to sort of get to the forefront of this? And I started with the president, making it a point that I continually write to the president, speak to the president, and say, Mr. President, we have a revolution happening and we cannot be late. We need to be very quick about it, And I'm so glad that the President of South Africa acknowledged it. And I believe that through my efforts, the country has been able to, we're not the first, which is a bit sad, but we've been able to become the first in Africa to sort of launch our strategies and compete with the likes of Kenya, which was also doing very well, and also other countries in Africa that have also started doing specific things within the fourth industrial revolution. But I think one very important thing that I've always held as a banner is that it's in these revolutions where countries created wealth. If we look at America, the third industrial revolution, that's how they became very, very wealthy. If we look at the second industrial revolution, Europe, that's how they became very wealthy. So it was in these industrial revolutions that countries became very wealthy. And I want Africans, or South Africans, to become wealthy through the fourth industrial revolution. I want us to be creating the robots that will be creating the goods and products of the future. I want us to be creating the technologies that will be moving the country forward. So that's what I'm really looking forward to implementing. And the hunger grows every single day to say, I need to see, or we need to see, South Africa actualizing the dream of the fourth industrial revolution.
Beautiful. So one thing that I don't think we are going to talk about it today, but I think probably in three weeks from now, I will be talking about how to avoid scams and these opportunities that are just really causing chaos. Because a lot of people, one thing is, everybody has just the idea in mind that I want to make money, right? And cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin become like the hot topic these days. So you probably have heard new things like smart contracts. So people come up with the whole idea of multiple different kinds of smart contracts. I've heard of Forsage. I've heard of there's new concept being born out there, and there's also this platform called Crowd One and multiple other things. So what are your thoughts on these opportunities? And what is your advice for people looking to make money whenever they actually get into these games?
Look, I think what's very important is that we need to realize, number one, this is not new. This is not new. History is repeating itself. History has shown us that this always happen. When paper money was first launched, there were so many scams that came together with paper money. When the internet was launched, people used to say this is a system for gangsters. So whenever we have something new, there'll always be those few bastards in society that abuse and try and create quick wealth for themselves using other people's hard-earned money. So that will always be a result of any revolution. I think the best way for us to avoid it is to educate one another. And that's why I fight so hard and so much to say on television, we should be having shows that are educating people about the fourth industrial revolution. On radio, we should be having shows, we should be having more tours. And that's why I was doing the tours, to say each one teach one, each one teach one. So that's the best way that we can stop people from falling into scams, falling into these systems that are fly by nights, etc. Because if people have got knowledge, then everybody will be able to differentiate themselves. I still have people call me and say there's a profile on Facebook that contacted me and said that they were you and they were not you. I always say to people that it's still very difficult for one person to realize when a profile is real or not. I always say to someone that the best way to see when a profile is real or not is to look when it was created.
Yeah.
If you know that Mpho's been on Facebook or whatever the case is for a year or so, if you see a profile that's created a month ago, how are you going to go trust it so quickly? But the people who still don't know how to do that, there are people who still don't know how to check. And I think the best solution for us to create is that each one teach one.
That's it.
This thing, let's speak about it on all platforms. Let's discuss it. And as we do so, we'll be educating one another. And I think the best way to avoid scams, to avoid any sort of people that are trying to abuse you or take your money away from you, whatever the case is to educate yourself, empower yourself with knowledge.
That's it. Just yesterday, two people actually reported a profile of mine on Facebook. And you know what? I'm just tired of reporting all the time. And the thing is, people use your pictures, and some of the most recent pictures. They create multiple profiles particularly on Facebook and on Instagram. And what I do is now what they do, they use your picture, but they don't use your name. Make it even worse. And then they go out there and say, Bitcoin expert investor and cryptocurrency trader, and then start asking people for money. So I'm just tired of it, man. I'm just waiting for one day to have my blue tick, and hopefully that will be recognized. But anyway, so one thing I want you to talk to. Well, I want you to give me your appraisal of the current pandemic. What do you make of it, and how do you think, we as a people in South Africa, particularly in the current economic situation, how do you think we can actually really come out of it?
So I won't speak about my thoughts about COVID because, excuse me, my thoughts on COVID are very personal, and I think they're very controversial. So I would rather speak about.
I want to hear. You know what? I'm here for the controversy. That's exactly what I am.
I must be aware that I still am a presidential commissioner, and I must comply with what the president is saying. So anything the president is saying, I must comply with it. But my thoughts on COVID are very controversial. But my thoughts on how do we recover, how do we get back to doing business is, I think that a lot of people are overcomplicating COVID. I've heard people say that after COVID, we need to see that things were not working properly, and now we'll notice that things are going to work perfectly, And I've heard people come up with lofty statements like, yeah, the business models will have to change. The former business models were not working. I've heard all sorts of advice on COVID. And I think, to be very frank and to be very honest, is to say that no one can ever call themselves an expert in this thing because it's new. We don't know where it's going to go. COVID could be gone in December. COVID could be here next year. No one actually knows. I think we all need to take a back seat and say, we don't know. We'll take things as they come. But I think one very important thing is that we need to return to normal, because normal worked better than COVID. Many people say the devil you know is better than the one you don't know. So I think the first thing is we need to return to normal. We need to eradicate COVID and return to normal. I think it's as basic and as simple as that.
How do you think we can eradicate COVID?
Well, controversial again. I hear that the vaccine's out. I hear today that the vaccine's out. So yeah, let's let those that are ready to start the vaccine start the vaccine.
What do you make? What do you make of South Africa being amongst possibly the first countries in Africa to really try out that COVID story, that vaccine story? You know, the Virtual University, I believe, has agreed to that, and quite a few places. I think I read something last week or the week before that about 7 or 8 people were, decided to actually go and get tested. What's your take on that?
Look, I think to be very honest, John, I must say that I'm not a COVID expert. I think, yeah, my opinions on COVID are not.
Correct.
I have nothing good or anything.
I don't want to push the trouble at the presidency.
Yeah, I don't want to step on toes. Just now after this live, people are coming at me. Doctors are coming for me. So I'll stick to what I know. COVID is not what I know. So yeah.
No, but I mean, look, if we let's talk about the current crisis. You know, the economic issues. Look, and I see one of the prominent guys who constantly is talking about the economy and has even recently swore, to politicians is Vusi Maguire. You know, people are tired. Vusi has gone off. You know, people are talking about him now. In fact, what he said made a lot of sense, but at the same time, look, I'm not 100% in agreement with everything he said or the way he said it. But I mean, there's a lot of sense, there's a lot of truth behind it, right? And bless you, by the way. Sorry about that. But what's your take? What's your take on this whole thing?
Look, we must be very careful, and I think this applies to everybody.
Right.
It's very easy to sit down and complain. Like, very, very easy. Right? We can all sit down and complain. I mean, I can complain right now about my nose being runny. You know?
Yeah, true.
How does this mean I've got COVID or not? You know, it's very simple for anyone to complain. I think the ones that should complain are the ones that have actually done something. And this is what I'm trying to do. You know, I always tell people that I never want to be labeled as a speaker who speaks. And when people look at my business track record, they're like, but you haven't created any jobs. You know, you haven't done anything of value on what are you actually speaking on. And I think that's what I shy away from a lot. I shy away from just speaking and not actually creating stuff.
Right.
And I think that's where Elon Musk is different.
True.
That's where Bill Gates is different. That's where Patrice Motsepe is different. These guys don't speak. These guys are very, very quiet. But if you look at what they're doing, the work speaks for themselves. So I'm very careful to say, I don't want to become one of those entrepreneurs that speaks very well and speaks on world stages. But when you look at what I've done, it's like a drop in the ocean. You know, I want to let people speak for me. You know, I want to let the jobs I've created, the businesses that I've built, that speak for me, you know. And yeah, that's my dream, to say less speaking, more doing.
Beautiful. So look, we're actually at the end of this session, and I want to ask you this question. When are you releasing your next book, and what will be the title?
So the title of my next book, I'm not allowed to share. I plan on releasing my next book at the end of COVID.
At the end of what, sorry?
End of COVID. So the end of coronavirus.
The end of COVID could be in 2 years now, from now.
I'll release it in 2 years. The book is written. I'm halfway through. So I plan to at the end of COVID. And I think that book is going to launch me into a different space.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I assume that you have considered some of the elements around what we're going through right now with the COVID and things like that. Is that right?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I've considered that, and I think that the new book is a book that allows me to be very raw, and it allows me to fix African issues at their root, because Bitcoin is not an issue.
True.
So I think the new book allows me to fix African issues at the root, and I think that's what I'm very passionate about. So yeah, the new book is going to be quite interesting. I'm going to do tours all over Africa, and I'm really going to be looking at fixing our problems at their roots, fixing the African problems because I truly believe that a lot of the times when we speak about African issues, it's very much a brush over. It's very much a quickie, you know. I was telling a gentleman friend of mine that in Africa, when Africans are upset, they change the president, not the policy.
True.
When people are upset, they change the policy, they change the tax regime, they change the way things are done. But in Africans, when we're upset, we change the president, we kick out the president, we elect a new one. But we actually haven't changed the systems. The new president comes in and he has to deal with what? The systems that the former president actually put in. So I want to start speaking and I want to start working around how do we actually change the state of things and not just the president? How do we change the way things are done and not just the face? You know? So
any political ambitions?
Sorry?
Any political aspirations?
Look, I've always said that I think that becoming president is a less important role than being a billionaire.
Right. So
if we look at the change that billionaires have on the world compared to what presidents have on the world, it's incomparable. Billionaires are more effective than presidents on any given day. So the highest level of change for me, I think, is the billionaire status, where you use your money for good. So that's the goal. If being president comes along the way, it will come, but that's not the end goal.
That's not the end goal. Beautiful.
That's the goal, yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. You've been amazing. You have definitely given a lot of nuggets, and please make sure that you always share some of the things that you are working on. And if there's anything that you want us to be able to draft together, I will definitely appreciate that. And I want to thank the audience as well from listening to you. And I will talk to you tomorrow or even chat to you later on. And I thank you very much. So go out there and take care of your nose, man, because we don't want no COVID situation around you.
Amazing show.
Thank you very much indeed. By the way, I'll share the final output with you definitely, and I really do appreciate that, man. Okay, keep well. So, guys, thank you very much again. I see here there's a comment from Lefa. We need new projection of the systems. Absolutely, Lefa. And you know what? We are all working towards making Africa to be a better place. Mpho is working on creating a brand new cryptocurrency. Of course, we are going to share to know more about that, and I will certainly bring Mpho back on the show again for us to talk about that. And as you know, guys, every single Monday we are talking. This is the Redefine Your Hustle show. So it's about helping you guys, getting you inspired. All of you guys who are working to becoming an entrepreneur or an investor or getting into your own business, this is a show for you. So I'm going to tell you exactly who is my guest for Monday next week. So this guy is from Los Angeles, and his name is Kyle Son Lin. So I met Kyle in October last year at an event, one of the largest events in the US called Crypto Invest Summit. So Kyle was actually interviewing me on stage, and as he spoke about securities token. And Kyle has been following my journey on cryptocurrencies and so forth. And he is definitely one of the prominent figures in Silicon Valley, where we are talking about digital assets and blockchain technology and so forth. So Kyle is very much interested about the project we're working on right now, which is the building of a digital bank and investment platform. So very soon I will tell you more about the details of our platform called Exalio. This is a platform for Africa by an African entrepreneurs. And the whole idea is to take Africa to the world and bring the world to Africa, but also most importantly, have a cross-border communication between Africans, right? So essentially somebody in South Africa can engage with somebody in the DRC or even invest in Nigeria or Senegal, and essentially being able to start creating your wealth from that particular angle. So I thank you guys, and make sure that you stay tuned. We are going to share more details about the show next week, and also what we are going to be talking about. And I definitely invite you all to come back for the show next week. So until then, thank you very much for being a part of the show, and have a great evening. And I will talk to you soon. Okay, keep well.
So, can blockchain be a catalyst for development in Africa? Here is our interview with John Lombela.
It's going to be a pretty unique show where we're talking to digital entrepreneurs and black entrepreneurs that are actually doing great things, let it be in the marketing space, let it be in cryptocurrency. And I brought back John Lombela, a good friend of mine who's been playing in that space for quite a while. John Lombela, John is the cryptocurrency guru. I call him like that.
I'm an entrepreneur myself, all the way from South Africa. It is important to always develop new things, right? So ambitiously build new cases beyond just financial services. Yes, we believe in the financial services. I mean, Bitcoin, as a matter of fact, was created as a payment system, a peer-to-peer cash electronic system. It all started from there, but it doesn't have to stop there.